FM 94, The Dark, and in the studio today, I'm kind of excited about this because we got a huge festival every year just south of Little Falls here, just south of Royalton, between Royalton and Rice, called Halfway Jam, and joining me today is from Rock House Productions, Tommy V, and also we got our very own CJ the DJ here from FM 94. And guys, first of all, thanks for joining me here on The Dark, which, us. Hey. And the cool thing I'm enjoying about this, Tommy V, I'm going to bring you in right away, is the change a little bit of Halfway Jam. You know, to me, it's exciting what's happening right now. What are you hearing out there as of now?
You know, we're hearing more excitement than we ever hear on this festival. You know, I think, you know, the change, and I mean, like what I've been saying is it wasn't by design. We didn't go down this road by design. You know, we're confronted with a half a dozen other major festivals in our neighborhood with casinos that run shows every weekend, and so a lot of times we're left. You know, we're kind of, that kind of determines who we can get based on who those guys have gotten, and you know, so in our effort to just continue to bring in really good shows, we've kind of, you know, naturally kind of gravitated towards this 90s, 2000s music. We're all really excited about it. I mean, we think that you know, is all great music. In my opinion, at the end of the day, it's all rock and roll, whether it's Winger or Warrant or AC/DC or Theory of a Deadman or Sugar Ray. It's all rock and roll, you know.
You know, the one thing about putting a festival together, it's just not, let's put it together in a couple weekends. This is a whole year thing, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, you know, the festival plays late July. I started working on, you know, the lineup, which is what I do. I'm the one that actually buys all the talent for this festival. I started working on it about the middle of August last year. So there's about 2 weeks where I didn't think about it. And then there's about a month-long period where we start talking about who we want to go after. And then I start flying down to Nashville in September and October to meet with all the agents. And so it's almost a year-round.
Year-round it is, and of course last year was kind of maybe a little prelude to what we're going to see this year when you brought in the bands like Saving Abel, Hinder, and obviously I think the biggest band, which I think had a great success, was Skill last year. Yeah,
I mean, and what a happy accident that was. You know, I mean, for those that don't remember, we had Buckcherry confirmed last year, and then the lead singer, I can't remember his name, but
Josh Todd.
Josh got sick and blew out his voice, and he was told he couldn't perform anymore or he would lose his voice for good. So, you know, they felt terrible. This happened 10 days before the festival. And I'm sitting here, and I was actually on vacation up in way northern Minnesota where I had to stand on the top of a cabin to get enough cell phone signal to deal with this. So it's a total Minnesota story, right? And I get this text from my assistant, and he's like, Buckcherry's canceling. So anyway, you know, but trying to find any band that's open, the last 2 weekends of July and the first 2 weekends of August, the busiest weekends in music. Mm-hmm. Doesn't matter what genre. Everybody's playing, you know, and so I'm sitting here going, what are we going to do? We lost our major headliner, and you know, the folks in the Skillet camp, you know, those guys all live in Wisconsin. They had taken that weekend off, and when we called them and just said, please, they said no problem, and you know, they hopped on their bus, they came in and brought what I think is the best show we've ever had. So.
July 28th through the 30th, Halfway Jam this year. CJ obviously has been out to Halfway Jam many years. And CJ, what do you love about Halfway Jam?
The venue. I mean, I've been to all of these outdoor festivals in Minnesota. I've working in radio for years. You end up at these festivals all the time. And I got to say, Halfway Jam, it has one of the best venues I've seen in the entire state. The venue, the camping area is awesome. And the people, the main thing about Halfway Jam is the type of people that come into Halfway Jam. And they're your local neighbors right here in central Minnesota. It's just a really, really fun event. And they always book some great acts too. So I'm really excited. The 80s stuff was good. I'm really excited for what they have coming in now because it's new, it's fresh, and these people actually have hits on the radio right now too, which is nice.
You know, that makes marketing the thing easier when the radio stations are actually spinning the records. You know, I appreciate hearing that, and you know, we pride ourselves on. One of the things that we, you know, is by design in that is that Halfway Jam is a smaller event. It's smaller than Moondance, smaller than Rockfest, smaller than Northern Invasion, smaller than all those other festivals. We like it like that, you know. I mean, we're not trying to all of a sudden have 50,000 people a day show up. We don't want to be that. You know, we want to be what we are, and which is just a really, we call it a boutique festival. There's a lot of these around the country, but you know, just we're not trying to be this massive thing. We're just trying to be a really fun party right here in everybody's backyard.
Exactly.
And the Henrys obviously are the ones that kind of help with this together. But this year you're getting some extra help from the outside.
Yeah, we kind of revamped the ownership structure last year, and we have a couple of local guys that came in. A guy by the name of Jared Gapinski from the Sauk Rapids, actually from Foley, lives in Sauk Rapids, and then Chris Flower from Princeton. And these guys came in. They'd been to the festival. They loved it. They knew that we needed some help, and so they've kind of brought their talents, individual talents, to the table. The Henry family's still very in charge of the thing, running the thing. I think so many of the Halfway Jam fans have become friends with those guys because they hang out for the weekend. They're my brother and I kind of run the stages and do all that stuff, but they're the ones that are actually out on the grounds hanging out with people, and it's been a really nice face to the festival because people feel like they're when you're hanging out with the owners of the festival, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, the cool thing about the venue too is that unlike so many of these out there, is that you can get right up front. I mean, you can see these acts. You can see you're in general. Some people are in general admission. And you're right up front. You can see these people. You can get in with the crowd. No spot in the venue is bad. I mean, every angle that you have, every view of the stage is great in the whole venue.
Yeah, and
that makes it great.
One of the other things, and CJ, I don't know if you've seen this happen, but one of the other things that happens at our festival, because we are a little bit smaller, is very often it happens with at least one band every year. Last year it was Saving Abel.
Yeah.
But these guys have so much fun that after their set, they're out in the crowd watching the shows.
Yep.
And you don't get that at a lot of other festivals because there's security concerns. You mentioned the people at Halfway Jam. It's a really laid-back, fun atmosphere. I mean, it's we're a rock festival, yes, and there are all the things that go at the rock festival, but it's really a fun environment. I mean, it's not it's not intense or heavy or anything. It's just people having a good time.
Yep.
Yeah, it's laid back. And how concerned were you last year when Scotty Austin from Saving Abel scaled the wall out there of the VIP and the general admission?
The more I do this, because I was the one running around right behind him, and the more I do this, the more I've come to understand, because we've had guys do that before, and the Halfway Jam crowd just kind of high fives them, and just there's a lot of love in the area. It's like I learned to not worry about like people getting weird. He fell off when he came back on. He went up on the bass bin and he fell off and broke his finger.
Oh wow!
And
I didn't know.
I ran behind the speaker, and his left pinky was pointing to the right.
Wow!
And we just quick grabbed it and popped it back straight forward, and he finished the show.
Wow, that's cool. Well, here's a story, too, that kind of back on how some of the band members and stuff will join in the crowd. I was right up front at Halfway a couple of years ago, and the guy standing next to me, will come to find out, I had just watched their show. It was Quiet Riot. I mean, the group of Quiet Riot, they were hanging out with us, enjoying, it was Dawkins or some other band that was on stage after them, but Quiet Riot was down in front part of the venue, just hanging out with us and talking with us and taking pictures, and it's so cool. You don't see that at any festival. Right. I've been to a ton.
Yeah, and we've had the guys in the bands tell us that. I mean, like last year, the Saving Abel guys asked me if it would be okay to go out in the crowd, and I said, this is your party, have fun.
Yeah.
And man, they had a blast. They were the last ones to leave that night. They had an absolute blast. They wound up in the campground, and it was great.
Oh, those guys are awesome. They are very awesome. We're talking with Tommy V here, of course, of Rock House Productions. They help put on Halfway Jam, and also got CJ the DJ here. Let's talk about the lineup here, okay?
Sure.
So you got 3 days and some big acts coming in. Let's start on Thursday, first of all, and obviously the headliner for that is Theory of a Deadman. I've seen this band before. They're phenomenal, and the fans are just going to be wowed by them.
Yeah, what a show those guys put on, And try to figure out how to say this without offending anybody, but when you deal with the bands, the younger bands, you're dealing with guys that have a little bit more energy. Now, again, I'm a lifelong professional touring musician. I've toured with all kinds of acts and all that, but I'm almost 50. I don't have the energy I had, 10, 15 years ago. So you see that with these bands, with Theory and Buckcherry and Seether. I mean, you got these guys that are just in their primes and into it, and the shows they put on are amazing.
You got Candlebox that night, which is a phenomenal act too, and then Soul Asylum, Minnesota band. Fingered Levin, as you mentioned, and then Kat Perkins, too. We've had her on The Dark here, and, of course, she, I think, is from North Dakota, transplanted here to Minnesota, was on The Voice, so somebody that a lot of people know.
Yeah, Kat's a sweetheart. I mean, I've had the good fortune to work with her on both sides of the fence. I've actually played in her band, and I've produced shows that she's been on, and she's just a good person, you know. One thing that we're doing different this year is we've decided with our second stage, which has always predominantly been tribute bands and cover bands and stuff. We've decided to make that stage bigger this year, and we're stepping into the future, which will become an all-national stage as well. And so this year, we have Kat Perkins headlining that stage. She'll actually go on after Theory of a Deadman, so she will actually close the day. And then on Friday, it'll be Faster Pussycat in that spot, and on Saturday, it'll be LA Guns in that spot. So, something a little new that we're trying just to, as we grow.
The big announcement yesterday was Seether will be headlining on Friday. Yes. I got a bunch of texts that said, "Oh my gosh, Seether
one
is
of them
coming."
Was me. I'm texting Jay-Z like, "Hey, did you hear Seether's coming to halfway?" Of course, he's on top of all of that, so he's usually the guy texting me.
I caught a little inside information, but obviously we had to keep it. And then I heard something too. I think some billboards might even had it already.
Oh man, that was hilarious. The billboards went up last week Thursday, and we didn't want to not put Seether on them, but we couldn't legally announce them until Monday.
Right.
So the plan was hang the billboard out at the Halfway Jam grounds with Seether on it, and we sent out a really shiny piece of black vinyl to cover where it said Seether, right? And the guy had the vinyl. Well, the dude was trying to get up north to go fishing, and he threw that billboard up, and he hopped in his truck, and he went up north and got up there and thought, what's this piece of black vinyl? Oh, no. and I heard about it, and I just thought, it is what it is. So yeah, I mean, we as everybody knows, Seether just played Northern Invasion,
right.
and we had to have an agreement with them that we would not announce them, and that was a mistake. It was an accident. We're sorry for anybody out there listening. We did not intend for that to happen, but we are so pumped to have those guys.
I don't think people realize how difficult it is to get bands, especially when you have a radius issue.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of legalities that go into this. A lot of these riders and things say it's amazing. And for what you do is phenomenal to get all the bands that you've gotten there this year.
I mean, if people only could see what we have to deal with on a daily basis. I mean, there were so many bands that were earlier in the process. There were bands that we wanted that were available our weekend, wanted to come play the festival. The money wasn't an issue, none of that. But then because they were doing one of these other events, we couldn't get them. And it's just like, oh man, it's a real kick in the gut, when they're right there, but you can't have them because of a radius issue,
Well, I tell you what, if you haven't seen Seether, I've seen him at least twice, maybe 3 times. Unbelievable show, and I think everybody's going to be excited about that one.
Yeah, for sure.
What I'm really excited about that night, though, is seeing Sugar Ray.
Amen. Yeah,
and I've heard a lot of buzz about Sugar Ray.
And again, that totally caught me off guard. They wound up on the festival because they're a part of something called the Summerland Tour, which is Sugar Ray, Everclear, Lit, and Sponge. Now, we had Lit last year, and I was going to bring them back anyways because for those that saw Lit last year, they blew the roof off the joint.
That was a great show.
And it's the nicest group of guys, and they they came out and they did a great show. And I'll tell you something, working my job, how nice these guys are is actually one of the biggest issues for me, because, I mean, we've had some bands come in, great bands, great shows, just not nice people to be around, and so it goes a long way with me when these guys come in and they throw down like Lit did, and then they come and hang out at the end of the night and they're meeting people, taking pictures, going out into the crowd, so we were going to have them back anyways, but Sugar Ray was a part of that package, and we didn't necessarily at the time think that was the right fit for the festival, but we thought, Everclear's great, Lit's great, Sponge is great, this will be fine. And since we announced them, we're learning that they are a true guilty pleasure for a lot of people. I mean, some of my biggest metalhead friends, my friends that only listen to Lamb of God and Pantera and stuff like this have told me, we're excited to go see Sugar Ray. And it's like, I don't know that I'd go to the cities to see him, but I'm going to be there anyways, and I'm definitely going to go watch him, So it's like, and of course, like my wife and her whole crew, they can't wait to get out and meet Mark McGrath,
Yep.
So, that whole place is just going to be singing along.
Oh, yeah.
So it's going to be great. It's great. And then, of course, Saturday, we mentioned Buckcherry is going to be there. The Gin Blossoms, Better Than Ezra. 10 years, which I'm looking forward to. That should be one heck of a show.
Yeah, and that's, I mean, we've had so much positive feedback, maybe more on them than any other act we've signed. At least people have been more vocal about them. And the interesting thing for the 10 years and also the Finger 11 fans, they're going on early. So, in past years, it's been kind of the lower, the lesser known bands have started the day.
Right.
We're not doing that this year. Somewhat for, obligations that the bands have, places they have to get to. But, Finger 11 will be on at 5 o'clock on Thursday, and 10 years will be on at 4 o'clock on Saturday. So,
Sweet.
yeah. So, come out, start early,
Oh, yeah. And then I just noticed, too, today, because I am on Bands in Town, it must be maybe on your second stage, you got Throw the Fight coming?
Yes, yeah.
And they're a Minneapolis band.
Yeah, Throw the Fight is coming. And with the second stage, we talked about adding the national acts. We're also looking to feature more bands from this area that are original bands.
There you go.
Guys that you guys are becoming aware of and maybe starting to spin some of the records. Throw the Fight being one of those. Another group called Vaudeville, who actually tours with Throw the Fight quite a bit. They'll be joining us. Another band that's a little bit heavier, but a really cool band called Nuisance.
Okay.
And they're kind of a new. So we've kind of gone out and tried to find what we think are these bands that deserve this stage to play on. And guys that are selling, cutting records and trying to get into this business, give them a spot to show what they can do.
That's the great thing about Halfway Jam is it the Rhino deck?
Yeah.
It's the other stage. They bring in some of these regional bands, and these bands rock. I mean, they in between the big shows on the big stage. I mean, you're enjoying these bands over on the side stage, and they just put on a heck of a show. I mean, you signed some great regional bands.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, and that's again, we need so much time on the main stage between bands. We can't just some of these festivals have these rotating stages where they can rotate the next band in 3 minutes. We can't do that. We're old school. So
the thing that's cool about Halfway Jam, though, and I've gone to other festivals, at least in locally, is that all you have to do is turn around, and there you are with the next band. You don't have to go into some place to watch the next band.
Yeah, I mean,
which is really cool.
It's just the one. We've got that big square ground. So yeah, everything's right there. I mean, if you're excited about seeing a band on the main stage, and don't really want to leave that spot, you can definitely hear and see what's going on the other stage just fine. So
all right, we got to ask this question, right, CJ? Any other surprises, possibly?
I will say
Fingers crossed.
That we were done. I was so excited when we announced Seether because I thought, yes, we're done adding bands. And then I got a call from some friends of all of ours, and especially your listeners on the Dark. I mean, called me up and said, we'd really like to come and see you guys this year. So I'm trying to figure that out right now. There's a bunch of logistics involved. If it was just down to come on and play, they would be here. But I've got to figure out how to put them on a stage that already has 5 bands on it. Especially because this band comes with a lot of equipment. So, but we're working it through, and I suspect that we are not done adding bands to this thing. So,
and the lineup right now is already awesome. I mean, it's my favorite lineup of any of the events this summer.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I mean, we feel so good about it. And I did the math yesterday. Right now, that's the weekend pass. The general admission weekend pass is $109. Right. I did the math yesterday based on the bands we have signed right now. It's $6.41 a band.
I think I can handle that.
Yeah. So if you just look at it that way,
This guy's a sales guy, isn't he?
Mixed drinks,
sales
another
guy,
cool thing, not just beer. I have no problem with beer, but I'm not a huge beer drinker. I like my mixed drinks, and you can get them right there.
Yeah, and that's another
I love that
thing that we do that a lot of festivals don't.
Yeah,
and I think it's because we're not 30,000 people that we can handle that. So. And great food vending. I mean, I always like to mention that, for those that have been there before, the food there is really good.
Yep.
So it's a great night out. You can get a good meal. The other thing that we've had people ask us about more this year than ever, and I think it's because of like Gin Blossoms and Sugar Ray and some of these bands, is we've had people ask if they can bring their kids. And we are an all ages event. We are striving to become more and more family friendly every year. What I will say is this: use your discretion. It is a rock show at the end of the day, and things happen at Halfway Jam that happen at rock shows. But with that said, last year for Skillet, we had a bunch of families come out with young kids, and they loved it.
Yep, and I've seen them out there too, families with their kids, and it has the atmosphere of being a little more laid back. It's a rock show, but the atmosphere is kind of laid back. I mean, it's not overly crazy.
Right, and we have really good security. That's very. You don't really see them, but they're there, and and it's just in all the years we've done, we've prided ourselves on the fact that it's a very fun, clean, safe event.
Right. So, well, you haven't been to a Seether show yet, though.
Yeah,
I've never been to a Seether show. I'm a Seether virgin, I guess you call it.
Yeah, and
this year though.
Yeah, I have. We have talked about the fact that with those guys coming, that might be a little bit of a different twist for us, but it'll be fine. We can handle it.
No, it'll be good. I'm just giving CJ a hard time here, Mr. 80s guy over here. So, which is cool though, because he's a diehard 80s fan. We're talking about CJ, the DJ here, but he's loving this lineup, and I think everybody around here is going to embrace this. And I think people need to realize too that it is a tougher thing now to get an 80s band because most of these bands aren't together anymore. They're only one member. Yep. And it's very difficult to book nowadays.
Yeah, and I mean, with the exception of that kind of top tier bands,
Right.
The Def Leppards, Journey, obviously.
Yep.
Even Journey, though, Steve Perry's been gone for how long,
Right.
But yeah, I mean, you're seeing that there's more and more, there's less and less of them. Every year there's less touring, and like I said, we that first 10 years when we were running all 80s, we did everything we could afford. Now that being said, if it worked out to bring Def Leppard in for one of the nights next year, we would do it in a heartbeat. For those that are 80s fans that are kind of going, we read all the comments. We see people saying,
Right.
we wish you were doing more 80s. If the opportunity presents itself, we will do that. Because again, if a great rock and roll show is a great rock and roll show, and you can watch Def Leppard next to Theory of a Deadman, and it's not, Hank Williams next to Theory of a
Right,
Deadman.
right.
I mean, it's
Exactly.
all rock
That's
and
a good
roll,
point.
So.
It is. Hey, let's get to the important stuff now. People buying tickets.
Yep.
How
Yes.
can they do that? Where are we at with that right now?
So this year we've gone to an all internet system. We've jumped into the 90s like everybody else, and it's
Welcome to the 90s.
yeah.
More
So
than one way.
it's a real simple deal on halfwayjam.com. Just log on, go on, jump on the ticket thing, get what you need. The tickets are emailed to you. You print them out on your home printer, and you're good to go.
So much more. It's just so much more easy that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you can also put the barcode on your iPhone or your Android or whatever your smartphone is, and
Yep.
you don't even need to print the tickets. You just bring that, and we scan it, get your wristband, and in you go. So.
All right. And then social media is a good way to find out what's going on?
The best way to keep up with what's going on with us is through our Halfway Jam Facebook page.
Okay.
We are very, very active on that page, more so than we've ever been. I know the guy that's running that page is he's answering people's questions, he's commenting, he's on it every day. So, and any little bit of information we get goes there. There's also some really fun contests on there. We're doing this Name That Riff deal right now where a mystery guitar player is throwing down a riff from one of the songs from one of the bands. The first person to guess that either wins a weekend, goes into a lottery to win a pair of weekend tickets, or if you already have a weekend ticket, you go into a lottery to win an upgrade to VIP.
Sweet.
If you already have VIP, we're doing something new. You go into a lottery to win a backstage pass upgrade to where you'll actually be allowed to come backstage and hang out, maybe watch some of the shows from the side of the stage. So everybody's covered. So there's all kinds of little things like that going on there. So
My wife wants to know, are you bringing back Doc Tiny, the 7-foot security guy?
oh yeah, he's part of the deal. He has to come every year.
We met him
was my
last year
next
behind
question.
backstage, and he is awesome.
Yeah, and he's like one of the nicest guys.
Oh, my
I love
God.
those guys they're just like he's a mountain, and he's so intimidating to look at. And then you go talk to him, and he's just a sweetheart.
He's just a teddy bear.
yeah.
Oh, a lot of fun talking with you, Tommy V. And the thing is, hopefully we'll get a chance to maybe talk with Jared or some of the other owners
Yep.
coming here in the weeks to come, and maybe we'll have some more surprises too.
Yeah, I think we'll get back in here and we'll talk more about this, and I think we'll also make sure to have some of our artists give you guys a call and get on the air with you, and you can talk with them about the event too. So
Absolutely. Love to talk to all those guys.
Yeah.
So thanks so much for joining me.
thanks for having me, you guys.
Thanks, CJ.
Thanks a lot, JC.
Once again, that's Tommy V from Rock House Productions, of course, part of Halfway Jam, and our very own CJ, the DJ here from FM 94. I'm Jay-Z in the Dark. Let's get back to the music. You're listening to The Dark on FM 94. 4.